Hello there, welcome once again to another action figure review by Terry Condors, and today we're having a look at the Predator Jungle Hunter V2. Now, before I get onto the figure, I'll just have a quick look at the box. Now, one thing that strikes me about this box is it says it's battle damage in the Jungle Predator V2 battle damage. The figure itself doesn't seem to have any battle damage on it. I'm not sure if that's just an omission because I think they released the battle damage one first and they didn't change the box. So I think it's the same box that the battle damage one came in and they just didn't change the subtitle on it. So the figure, you see a showcase of the figure down here in the corner. It's displayed in this window box style packaging. The Predator logo on the side of the box. And then flipping around the back of the box, you have images of the figure within. You have some legalese stuff. These are basically intended for collectors 15 plus. You have a couple of images of the figure in various poses and some of the accessories it comes with. And that's pretty much it for the box. It's pretty much just a same plain simple box. So here he is outside of the box. And straight off the bat, he does come with two normal hands, two outstretched hands in the box. So I have his gripping hand swapped in. So he is pretty nice, but I'll go on to the accessories first. So as with nearly all the Predator figures, he comes with these kind of mud style bases. He comes with these H or I clips, whichever way you want to pronounce them. They're either an I or a H, whichever way you look at them. So these just clip into the base, and if you have previous bases, this is the one from the Alien Queen. That's why there's 4 of them locked together. So if you have previous bases from any of the other lines that they do, if I can get it to work, because it is a bit of a tight fit, I should be able to get this to work on screen. It's just a matter of lining up the right tab to the right spot. It is a tight fit. So you plug the two of them together. Of course, I probably won't want to do that for me now while on camera, but the idea is you should be able to connect them all together. Of course, it doesn't want to do that. There we go. So you can plug them all together, and then you can see you can have different bases. So this is the grid pattern one from the Alien Queen. This is the mud one. There's a road. There's a sort of street side roadway one from the Robocop figures. So if you have any of those, they should connect. I don't know if the Injustice figures came with bases that would connect. I know Hiya Toys have done Injustice figures, but I have not got any of those, so I don't know if they will connect to the bases or not, or if they have a base that will connect to the others. So for accessories, I just take his accessory out of his hand. He comes with a skull with a spinal cord attached. Now this is a slightly different one to the normal ones that they have. Just can get that to focus on it. Be nice. It is slightly, the spinal cord part is actually slightly newer and longer. I think the skull is probably the same as the previous ones, but the spinal cord is actually slightly longer. Again, as I said, aforementioned outstretched hands. These are the default hand he comes with. His enclosed left hand. It's very hard to see, sorry about that. And then he has the open hand for holding onto that spinal cord. And then it's the figure itself. Now, my figure has a few issues in the sense that some of his trophies are kind of a little bit warped. You can see this one on his neck, the neck one should be just facing down. It was a bit trapped behind his head in packaging, so it kind of stuck to that kind of positioning. Other than that, I didn't have any real issues with it, except for this bicep piece was swiveled the wrong way in the box, so it was like this, but it was just a simple process of rotating it around the right way, and everything was back to normal and hunky-dory. So this figure is using the newer body sculpt. So this figure has been reused once before for this guy, which is the Predator's Armored Crucified Predator, which is essentially a jungle hunter predator that has a slightly less armoring, but overall it's the same figure. Has probably a slight bit different in color scheme as well. As you can see, he's a bit more tan and kind of pale browns, or kind of browns and tans, than the paler white colors that this one is. Neither of them have a removable helmet with a, the predator head underneath. I think there is an unmasked version of this one available as well. I just didn't pick that one up. This one has a slight crack on his helmet, so you can see sort of the helmet or the predator's face behind that, which is what made this one pretty cool. His bio helmet is different again, though I'm kind of glad they didn't just, reuse the same mold for the bio helmet, because this one actually has scratches and dings and dents on it that aren't on the original Jungle Hunters. So there is a difference between the heads, which is quite nice. It's not a case of them just re-sculpting the area that's opened on this one and calling it a day. The wrist gauntlets and the armor pretty much are all the same. This guy has the same torso, just painted differently. He has none of the trophies that the original Jungle Hunter has. So if I can just get him to stand up in the background. This one has a necklace, and then these over-the-shoulder trophies is this one with all the skulls on it, and then this one with all the spines. Articulation, the arms can rotate all the way around. It has a bicep swivel, has double jointed elbows, but the actual gauntlet does tend to get in the way a slight bit. This gauntlet piece is a separate piece, so if you pop off the hand, you'll take that off, and underneath it there's kind of a wraps, which is a good indicator that if they are going to continue reusing this mold and reissuing it, they'll probably make it easier for them to do the Lost Predators, because a lot of the Lost Predators, instead of having actual gauntlets, some of them have just these wraps around their arms, and it will probably make it easier for them to do that. He does have the extending wrist blades. Doesn't extend out a great deal, it just goes out that much. You can probably barely see it, but it does go out and in. He does have the plasma cannon on a ball joint, so it can move up and down and rotate side to side. His other arm is the same, can rotate around. It can go out this much because it's hindered by this massive piece. Can rotate all the way around, but you have to kind of move it sideways to get that whole joint to work, because again, this thing, the shoulder cannon, it is a separate piece, but it's glued into place, so it doesn't come off. Again, double jointed elbow on this side. Same thing with the gauntlet. It is a separate piece and it does rotate slightly. And if you pull the hand out and you can pull this gauntlet off, you'll see that there's a kind of a wrapping around the wrist, or around the forearm. So then he has an ab crunch, and it is a really good ab crunch. He gets a good range of movement on it. You can do a swivel. He has a lower waist swivel as well. It's not an ab crunch, but it is a side-to-side swivel. He has splits that much, again hindered by his skirt armor, which is the way most of them would be. Can kick forward that much, a little bit hindered by the skirt armor again. If this probably wasn't there as much, you could kick forward a lot more. He has double jointed elbows, knees. So he has this weird thing where they kind of pop out a little bit, so you have to just be careful when putting them back in. They'll pop over the joint, so you just have to be a little bit more easy with it. And then you have a swivel in the ankle and a hinge on the ankle. Now, I have seen people saying that their ones have some issues with ankle, or the ankles. You can see my one on the left side seems to be kind of more askew. It doesn't seem to be flat to the body, so it is a bit hindered that way. I don't want to squidge it in too much because I could snap the joint, but it is there. You can see that it takes a bit to get it back underneath the ankle joint. There is a thigh swivel as well, I should mention that. There is peg hold on the bottom of the feet because the stands have a peg on them, but he does stand quite nicely. Now, hopefully my hand wasn't in the way the whole time for that. But here is the previous iteration of Jungle Hunter. This is the version 1. So overall, not a bad figure. It was good for its time. It does come with pretty much the same, a very similar trophy rack. In fact, I probably would be imagine it's the same one. This one seems very wide and long, whereas this one, it seems to fit the body a bit better and is a wider body. So coloring wise, this one matches this Predator's version a bit more. This one's a bit more movie accurate. Overall, this one has a reuse of the Elder's gauntlet because it has wraps around the outside of it, whereas this one is more movie accurate as well. And they still had the double jointed knees, but it was a different kind of style of joint. The elbows were only a single joint, so you didn't have the extra joint. The gauntlets weren't a separate piece, so you couldn't rotate them. Well, you could actually. There was a rotation on them, but they weren't like a separate piece that would come off. And sometimes the gauntlet would stick, and it would become a problem. It could snap easily. Helmet is actually different as well. I do prefer the helmet on this one, mainly because the eyes are just a plain black. You can see the lenses on this one is a little bit more kind of detailed, but if I remember correctly, the ones I remember in the movie, the lenses in the movie were just kind of plain black. You didn't see that kind of detailing that much, but they kind of went ahead and added it. The predlocks are all soft plastic, same with the one on the new one. But overall, this one wasn't too bad for its time. This one is slightly improved. You have slight improvement on the articulation, especially with the arms. It does look a bit more chunkier. I kind of prefer the slightly more slimmer figure, but it is what it is. So if I can just get them to stand. I know these ones, the ankles on these older ones were a bit more problematic. I do wish they would go with the kind of a rocker style ankle for these figures. Like on some of, I've seen it done on G.I. Joe's and stuff like that. So it can be done on this scale. It probably would make posing the legs a little bit easier and the ankles. But overall, it's not too bad. So if I just bring in my tape measure for a scale and try not to knock everything over. He is around 4.5 inches, so he is taller than a regular 4-inch figure. It's the same with all of them. So if I bring in a 3 3/4 inch or 1:18 scale figure, here is the mercenary from the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom line. So you can see he does stand a good bit over him. I'll bring in the old Chris Pratt, Owen Grady figures all, since I have them handy. So you can see they do stand a good bit taller than a average human figure. And I'm just trying to see if I have any G.I. Joe figures handy, just to do a size comparison, and unfortunately I do not. So he is a good figure. He should be available now. I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store, so I think he's still available up there. If not, you might have to go the route of eBay and third-party sellers, stuff like that, but I think they were available recently enough, so you could be still able to get these guys. Well, especially the new one, and possibly the crucified one. The V1 is I don't think is discontinued, so I don't think you can get that one much anymore. You'd have to probably pay, I'm not sure if he's gone up in value or not, but you probably would have to pay a bit for him on the secondary market. So it is what it is. Overall, I do like this figure line. It is nice to finally see kind of super highly articulated detailed figures for the Predator line in this scale. So it is nice that you can cross them over with stuff like Star Wars, the Lanard Core line, or the Core Elite line, even stuff like the Mattel Jurassic Park stuff and G.I. Joe. You can cross them over with most 3 1/4 inch scale figures and they'll look pretty good. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick look at the Predator Jungle Hunter version 2. And I hope you found this video informative and it was interesting enough. So please feel free to comment and hit the thumbs up button for my video, and please feel free to subscribe to my channel for more content. So cheers, guys. I hope you enjoyed this.